Right, all you listeners to the madness and anyone looking up to catch this show on their AM/FM dials, welcome to yet another unpredictable, unplanned, unseasoned, and now under a Mayday of Madness edition of Under the Radar. I am your host from the East Coast, DJ Smokey, and seeing the fact that we are once again bringing madness to your Mayday like no other, we might as well waste no time and explain to you guys what we've got prepared for this very special Mayday of Madness edition of Under the Radar. Because we kick things off with another newspaper clipping edition of yesterday's news. Next up on the plate, we go ahead and check out some screenshots and whatnots from the Twitterverse from this past weekend and beyond for another edition of the 8 Squared Delight. And yes, Carl and the Maestro, we were stockpiling, hence the reason why it's the 8 Squared Delight. And speaking of stockpiled things from the great beyond, folks, we adjust the tie to our Rod Sterling suits and go to that fifth dimension of games that we left open by accident to go straight to the Indy Zone. And yes, Carl and the Maestro, I got the light fixed, so now it works when I say it to work. And speaking of things working voluntarily or involuntarily, we find out which one of you crazy stunners out there is most likely going to spend your Mayday screaming Mayday like a plane in the skies that is out of control like you're stunned for another edition of the Wild World of Stunts. And according to Carl and the Maestro, a couple of them might be flying higher than an actual plane at an airport. Huh. Oh, isn't that not that far off the ground? Oh, they're talking once it takes off and then starts flying around the airfield. Right, gotcha. Also, besides that, we go ahead and find out who was the best track of the month of fools that passed us by for another edition of the GTA Online Top 6 Tracks of the Month. And we'll go into further details of why in the world it's 6. But finally, last but not least, and hopefully before those infomercials scramble on your television sets, we wrap up this show yet another edition of the GTA Online Top 5 Tracks of the Week. And I guess with that said, I might as well tell Carl and the Maestro to kick up the beats, crank out the tunes, and for any of you listening at home, ease back those recliners, cause it's time for us to get ready to fly low as we go under the radar. Let's get this Mayday Madness started, folks. Right, all you listeners to the madness, welcome back to Under the Radar. Now, for those wondering at home, this would make the third Mayday in a row we would be able to have madness. And once again, like we say every single year, it's an honor, it's a privilege, and at the same time, it was a coin flip that decided this. Because originally we were going to wrap up the month of Fools with some madness. Then I saw the date on the calendar and said, I'm not going to miss that for the world. So here we are, bringing madness into your homes on the first day of May, aka Mayday, which we might call madness in the future. But besides trying to rename parts of a calendar that's been set in stone for years on end, I think it's time for us to go ahead and pick up our left-handed scissors to cut out some very interesting newspaper clippings from this past week and beyond for another edition of Yesterday's News. And in our first Yesterday's News story, and in news for you fans of documentaries and of Pee Wee Herman, me included, it's been announced as of this past week that they will be doing a documentary on Pee Wee Herman, or more or less Paul Rubens, the man who played Pee Wee Herman, talking about the highs and lows of one Pee Wee Herman with several people who was involved during the Pee Wee Herman show and in other aspects of his life. And I, for one, am overly excited about that and about the bonus news story that went along with it, because for those fans out there of Pee Wee Herman's bike, which was the Red Schwinn bicycle that was used during Pee Wee's Big Adventure, yep, it's currently up on auction as we speak. And I, for one, always wanted that bike. I do believe my mom got a model of that bike similar to it, but not quite. But definitely a cool bike, and a bike that I got a feeling, as of the announcement, might not be up as we speak. And Carl and the Maestro checking, and yep, it's still up, but as of right now, might not be up for much longer. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out the cool documentary that will be coming out by the end of this month for Paul Rubens, better known as Pee Wee as himself, then you can go ahead and head on over to the Twitter page of one man only known as Discussing Film to check the trailer out for yourselves. Because the actual documentary will be taking place on Max as of May 23rd of 2025. And as a bit of a heads up, the said bike that is currently up for auction will be available to bid for as of May 3rd and May 4th, hosted by none other than Van Eaton Galleries themselves. Nice, nice. And in other news of yesterday variety, and more or less yesterday's news for you horror movie fans out there of award shows, because this past week would mark the 2025 Dead Meat Awards. And this year, I got a feeling would have to be one of the biggest ones to date, because not only it would feature not only Madeline and Violet McGraw from not only The Black Phone, but Megan, but also would feature legendary horror man himself of Keith David, presenting an award at the Horror Movie Awards for Dead Meat, which is absolutely awesome. And even though we really didn't get a chance to see all the award nominees and contestants for it, I gotta tell ya, bravo to Dead Meat being able to get Keith David a part of the awards. So here's hoping next year they can get none other than, I guess, Ash Williams? I keep forgetting. Oh yeah, Bruce Campbell. Yeah, Bruce Campbell a part of the awards as well too. It'd be nice to see him. And if you guys and gals out there want to go ahead and check out this year's Dead Meat Horror Awards for yourselves, then you can go ahead and head on over to the YouTube page of one man only known as Dead Meat Presents to check it out for yourselves. And in other yesterday's news, and more or less Domino King return news, because for you fans out there who's been itching for some cool domino artwork from the Domino King, well, I have some good news for you. Because after a bit of a hiatus due to personal reasons, the Domino King would return with some pretty cool artwork from the TV show of Invincible, by not only featuring Mark Grayson, but a couple of other artwork pieces featured from the show Invincible as well too. And the fact that he was able to get a very clean picture of him, even though it's him a bloody mess, but yeah, definitely a cool artwork to return to, with well over 29,615 dominoes to be had for the artwork, which is very impressive indeed. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out the domino work for yourselves of the returning Domino King, then you can go ahead and head on over towards the YouTube page of one man only known as the Domino King to check it out for yourselves. And you know what? I hope in the near future he could do a domino art piece for Gundam. I don't know which Gundam show to go for, but there's plenty of them out there, and here's hoping he's able to pull it off. And according to Carl and the Maestro, he's a Domino King. He's got that. And in other yesterday's news, and more or less news for you fans out there of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, because it's been announced to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, they've decided to come up with a 4K Ultra HD restoration of the said film. Nice! But at the same time, when it comes to restoring certain films and certain TV shows, and one I'm gonna point out now with the Twilight Zone, sometimes it's better to keep it classic than trying to, I guess, Ultra HD release a classic film. Because for some strange reason, sometimes it really does not look right. And the reason why we brung up the Twilight Zone, because I'm not sure if it was ray tracing or whatever in the world they did, but each and every single last episode looked absolutely weird to see on Sci-Fi with the HD remakes that they were able to put up for the said episodes, including the one with Talking Tina, which really did disappoint me. But hey, them's the breaks, and I guess that's the sign of the times. And if you guys want to go ahead and catch this in a local theater near you, and want to find out which theater it's going to be featured, or even check out the Time Warp in 4K Ultra, then you can go ahead and head on over to the Consequence page of one man only known as Consequence.net to check it out for yourselves. And as a bit of a heads up for you fans out there wondering, when will this be in theaters? As of this summer. Now, unfortunately, we don't have the movie announcer guy to actually say coming soon to a theater near you, but I guess we'll have to do our best by saying, I guess, coming soon to a theater near you. See, it doesn't have the same magic. And in other yesterday's news, and more or less Celtic Warrior workout news, because for you Tiffy Time fans and fans of pickleball, or even fans who wanted to work out with Sheamus live at WrestleMania 41, I have some good news for you that's doubled the fun, and I guess 2 for the price of 1 in this case. Because Sheamus would decide to play pickleball with not only Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton, but would also be able to hook up with A-Town Down Under, as well as the Scottish Terminator himself, Drew McIntyre, to have a cool workout at WrestleMania 41. Nice! Now, here's hoping in the near future he can actually get the quilted quicker picker-upper Braun Strowman involved with the workout shenanigans as well too, because I got a feeling he might outlift him. Just saying. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out both of these wonderful workouts that took place somewhere near WrestleMania weekend, then you can go ahead and head on over to the YouTube page of one man only known as Celtic Warrior Workouts to check it out for yourselves. And I guess with that said, folks, wraps it up for a very special May Day edition of yesterday's news. And I guess with that said, I think it's time for us to head back into that music once again. And when we return, we'll be back with more madness that you can shake a pair of scissors at as Under the Radar rolls on right after this. So don't touch that dial away for the madness just yet, folks. And stay tuned. And we're back with the show of madness that is keeping the May Day tradition alive, only known as Under the Radar. Now, apparently, according to Carl and the Maestro, next year, May Day will fall on a Friday. Are you sure? Apparently, they just recently looked at the calendar and may have made a mistake. See, I knew it. See, I got a feeling by next year, it most likely might fall on a Saturday, which still might be a problem for us to bring madness to it. But we'll find a way. We always do. We always do. But besides trying to find a way to bring madness to certain days that happens to start off of May, I think it's time for us to go ahead and check out some screenshots and whatnots from the Twitterverse from this past week and beyond for another edition of the 8 Squared Delight. And the first screenshot that we have up comes from none other than the Twitter page of Wyzak Game with their set game of Wyzak. And the screenshot that they provided for this week shows our sorceress making her way through what appears to be a giant oversized castle on a broomstick, flying through the skies only to make her way into the inner portions of the said castle and to make her way to what appears to be some form of cathedral. Nice! Only for the cameras to fade to black therefore after. Now, this screenshot automatically reminds me, because of the castle, of Dragon's Dogma. Yeah, definitely reminds me of Dragon's Dogma with a little hint of, I guess, Final Fantasy 15 with the underground place you go to as one of the special dungeons that you would go inside. Yeah, it has the same layout. And here's hoping in the near future for this set game that not only you get a chance to upgrade the ability to fly on this set broomstick, but maybe, just maybe, a chance for the trail of vapor that comes from the back of it to have some form of elemental attack attached to it. And why? Because I know firsthand, depending on what sort of flying creature that may come after you, that may or may not be a dragon before you get on my case, may knock you out of the sky while you're flying on this thing. So here's hoping you get a chance to have some form of protection against whatever's coming after you. Or, you know, a smoke screen to make sure they get off your trail immediately while you're trying to run from a fight. Because I got a feeling that's going to come in handy to make sure that happens. But besides trying to use vapor trails to get dragons off your tail, the next screenshot that we have up comes from the Twitter page of Horndiff Blue with their said screenshot from the video game of Lightspeed Lina. And the screenshot lives up to the Lightspeed name that they claim, because not only we would see Lina make her way through several different objects by smashing her way through different targets, sticking the landing, and zipping her way from one side of the stage to the next, but even using a loop-de-loop to fly straight in the air, hit a target, fly through some tubes, jump towards some other targets, and wall ride as well, only for her to make her way toward that finish line in less than 15 seconds time in a very impressive fashion, all while grabbing a cool looking heart in the center. Not bad. Not bad at all. Now, this automatically reminds me of a combination of not only Sonic the Hedgehog, but with a little hint of Knights in there as well too. Now, here's hoping in the near future for this set game that not only do you get a chance to, I guess, improve the flying ability that you would get in this game, but maybe, just maybe, a chance for you to play alongside with your friends too. Cause I got a feeling a lot of people wants to play as the other character that's alongside of Linda as they go light speed. You know, more or less like Tails in some form of battle of, can you beat me to the finish while I'm flying? And according to Call of the Mice Show, wouldn't that be unfair for the person actually on the ground doing all the work? Well, not really. It worked out pretty well in Sonic Adventure 3, so I hopefully think it'll work out here too. But besides trying to figure out a way to keep air and ground competition fair, the next screenshot that we have up comes from the Twitter page of Burning Sword DS with their set game of Burning Sword Death Sun. And to prove how much of a burning sword you're gonna experience in this game, the screenshot that they provided for this week shows you fighting against what appears to be some form of ancient monk using a whole bunch of cool sword-like tactics for him to bring out lightning attacks to try to take you out, and for you to close the gap by grabbing his sleeve, and then immediately it was about to punch him in the face before the cameras could fade to black. And according to Call of the Maestro, nope, you were able to grab him by the throat before you were gonna land that punch. Okay? Now this automatically reminds me of Neo with a little hit of Kill Bill in there as well too, because I'm pretty sure that's the same guy that taught the explosive heart technique in that film. And according to Call of the Maestro zooming in the cameras, maybe. Now, here's hoping in the near future for this set game that not only you can learn a cool attack from this guy after you defeat him, but maybe, just maybe, a chance to adopt a couple of the powers that he has over Wind. And according to Call of the Maestro, don't you want the lightning powers too? Maybe. It all depends on how effective it would be. But looking at the first half of the screenshot, yeah, it'll be pretty effective if you're able to circle it around somebody, but I guess we'll find out in the future. But besides trying to find out cool powers that may involve a Hattori Hanzo sword or two, the next screenshot that we have up comes from the Twitter page of Rootmare Game by way of 80 Level with their set game of Rootmare. And the screenshot that they provided for this week shows our hero as they make their way through what appears to be some form of botanical garden, getting a little bit of advice from a girl named Alice on their headset, as they would try to make their way through this said place that I got a feeling is going to be filled with more Markland beasts than possibly described. And according to Call of the Maestro, they thought they saw something over in the corner. Of course you did. And this game automatically reminds me of, well, Resident Evil. Definitely reminds me of Resident Evil. And according to 80 Level, it reminds them of Silent Hill and a little splash of Resident Evil in there as well, too. And don't see the Silent Hill elements. I didn't see some weird doll-like creature bending their back further than most and walking on all fours and scurrying past you trying to kill you, but I got a feeling this game might have it. Now, here's hoping, just in case they do have it, that you get a chance to use a shotgun to take out those said creatures. Cause I got a feeling you're gonna need it, especially at point blank range, just in case something comes from out of left field and says, gotcha. So, a chance to use a shotgun to take that out would be lovely. And the next screenshot that we have up, and speaking of shooting things at point blank range, comes from the Twitter page of Jitspo with their said screenshot from the video game of Hook. And it's spelled K-O-O-K, just in case anybody's wondering at home. But despite on how it's spelled, folks, the screenshot literally and figuratively we got for this week from them would show our hero using this said 4-barreled shotgun to not only blast their way up to the second floor to take out 2 soldiers, but also blasting their way through doors and, of course, through more people as they would see the camera fade to black. Now, this game, for some strange reason, reminds me of Quake with a little hit of Wolfenstein in there as well, too. Now, here's hoping in the near future for this set game that not only do you get a chance to upgrade this said shotgun? And calling to Michael saying why? Well, despite how many barrels it has, it can run out of ammo, so a chance for you to have piercing ammo just in case you're against all odds against a whole bunch of those enemies that were on screen, but maybe, just maybe, a chance for you to have different forms of rounds in it as well, too. Maybe some incendiary rounds, because I got a feeling whatever in the world is lurking inside that house that was over on the left might be something that may be able to take you out at point-blank range, so some incendiary rounds would do wonders for it. Even though Carl and Maestro rolled their eyes and said that it might still come after you on fire. Well, we'll cross that bridge and annihilate it when we get to it. And the next screenshot that we have up, besides dealing with Markland Beast and other creatures with 6-barrel shotguns that look like something from Wild Wild West, comes from the Twitter page of Kimonic with their said screenshot from the video game of Securio, or Secrico? According to Carl and Maestro, let's just go with the second one. And the screenshot that they provided for this week shows our heroine as she would fight somebody in close confined spaces, only to prove that the walls would break behind them and cause utter chaos as she would try to go in for a couple of shots and would be able to pull off not only a kick, a sliding kick, and even a right hook before she would get tossed to the other side of the room from said opponent, all while still trying to avoid shots and be able to see the camera fade to black with minimal to no damage. And according to Carl and Maestro telling me that she lost at least 75% of her health after that wave slash and that kick she took, she was able to regain it back using a health vial. All right? Now this screenshot automatically reminds me of, well, Neo with a little hint of Onimusha in there as well too. Now, here's hoping in the near future for this game that one of the attacks you can use to take out your opponent is a Tiger Knee. And why? Because if she's that close and is able to pull off an attack like that, I got a feeling a Tiger Knee would be able to take her out. And Carl and the Maestro said that the one attack that did take her out that we forgot to mention would be some form of right hook using the hilt of the blade. Yikes. But still hoping for a Tiger Knee. If she's gonna throw you halfway across the room like that, you run back in, you knee her in the face, and I bet she won't get back up. And Carl and the Maestro said, okay, with wind powers and slashing powers, I don't think it's going to be possible, but they hope for it too. See, at least we're on the same side for once. And the next game that we have up comes from none other than the Twitter page of Future More Games with their said game of Absolution of the Dead. And the screenshot, literally and figuratively, that they provided for this week shows our hero as they get off an elevator only to run into a whole bunch of mutants or zombies, take your pick, but the way he would do things is take them out with not only an assault rifle, but a shotgun, sending them flipping down the hallway with no lights. And every room they would go into would be filled with some horrifying demonic creature until the cameras faded to black. Now, this reminds me of I would have to say Resident Evil 7. Definitely reminds me of that. So here's hoping in the near future for this game that not only you get a chance to upgrade that shotgun, but maybe, just maybe, a chance to get some form of Molotovs or grenades to take out these set creatures too, because you're fully surrounded. You're definitely fully surrounded, and with backup nowhere to be found, maybe, just maybe, a grenade to help you clean up the mess that the shotgun couldn't. Which, according to Carl and the Maestro saying, yeah, I don't think that shotgun missed any of that mess that they were supposed to clean up. Well, there was one over on the left before they head to the room on the right, so yeah, grenade, just in case, just in case. And the next screenshot that we have up, besides getting some form of grenade to take out Markland Beast at a moment's notice, comes from none other than the Twitter page of Mariari Relics with their said screenshot from the video game of Dark Light Survivor. And the screenshot that they provided for this week would show our heroes calling upon the Ghostbusters with a cool lightning gun, taking out a multitude of enemies in a field, causing them to blow up into 1,000 pieces, all before the cameras can fade to black. Now, this screenshot automatically reminds me of, well, I have to say Ghostbusters, with a little hit of Red Faction in there as well too, because I'm pretty sure they had a lightning gun in that one, at least in Red Faction Gorilla. So here's hoping in the near future for this game that not only you get a chance to upgrade, but modify this weapon as well too. And what do I mean by modifying it? Well, here's what I mean by modifying it, folks. A chance for you to not only cause a beam attack like it is currently, but maybe, just maybe, a chance for a burst attack, a charge attack, or even a pulse or wave attack to send enemies flying away from you just in case they get too close. Because, you know, beam attacks are cool and all, but I got a feeling when the numbers really starts to pour in, maybe a wave blast might do you some wonders while you're in the field. Just saying. And the next screenshot that we have up, besides using a Ghostbuster weapon to bust something other than ghosts, comes from the Twitter page of Where Winds Meet with their set game of Flaming Meteor. And this game automatically reminds me, with the screenshot that they provided for this week, of you jumping on a warhorse of sorts, causing it to fly into the air and slam an ancient, I guess, lance into the earth, only for that lance to slam back down on the ground once the horse jumps toward it, causing the camera to fade to black. And this screenshot reminds me of, I would have to say it reminds me of Elden Ring, of a special power you would get from fighting a certain boss and calling upon it to try to fight him. So here's hoping in the near future for this set game that not only the element for this set horse is not only fire, which according to Call into my show, yes, it's a fire horse, but also a chance for it to be a lightning horse, ice horse, or any form of element you need at a moment's notice, because I got a feeling a couple of the enemies in this game may have other elements attached to it. And according to Call into my show, you might be right on that one. Well, from playing those games so many times over the years, I've had my fair share of experience, so here's hoping it comes with different forms of elements to the dance. And the last but not least screenshot that we have up for this week to kick off this May Day, and doesn't include any war horses, but in some cases a little bit of horsepower under the hood, comes from none other than Jussie Companion with their said screenshot from the video game of Driver City Apocalypse. And for this week, outside of the car mayhem you would see on a regular basis, they would decide to include a couple of customizable things you could do to a couple of the cars in the game. Not only adding different logos, designs, and weaponry, but also adding different tires to the car as well too, all while being on a Lazy Susan. Now, this game automatically reminds me of, I would have to say, Twisted Metal, with a little hit of Mad Max in there as well too. Now, here's hoping in the near future for this set game, since you can already customize the car from head to toe, maybe, just maybe, a chance for you to add treads instead of tires. Because I know out there on the field, there's going to be some people out there that's going to have spikes or bombs or whatever it may be to try to take you out. And I got a feeling treads would solve that problem just beautifully. So here's hoping in the near future a chance for you to add treads, since Carl and the Maestro said they've already seen the options of shotguns, rocket launchers, flamethrowers, and other crazy weapons to add to the hood of your car. All right? All you need is some headlight rockets and you're fine. And if you guys and gals out there want to go ahead and check out any other cool games from the Twitterverse from this past weekend and beyond for yourselves, then you can head on over to the Twitter pages of not only Octo Curio, Oliver Snyder's, Playing Indies, Indie Rhymes, Shot_Games, Alpha Beta Gamer, or even under the hashtag of Screenshot Saturday, and even under the Next Indie page. But if you guys want to go ahead and check out the screenshots that we liked for this week and get a further interpretation of it for yourselves, then you can go ahead and head on over to our Twitter page, only known as the OOH0012, and just look up the said screenshot folder entitled Mayday Screenshots to check them out. And Carl and the Mike Show writing the word Mayday next to the screenshot in 18 font, which is pretty cool. Nice. And I guess with that said, folks, I think it's time for us to head back to that music once again. And when we return, we'll be back with another trip straight to the Indy Zone as Under the Radar rolls on right after this. So don't get lost in that madness just yet, folks, and stay tuned. All right, all you listeners of the madness and indie game lovers alike out there, welcome back to Under the Radar. And this week's screenshot of the week, and Carl and the Maestro said, are you sure you want to go down this road? Yes, I do. Because the screenshot of the week for this week is not only to go to Where Winds Meet from the Twitter page of Where Winds Meet, and also goes to Just Kipiabian or Jesse Kipiabian. We'll go with the second one just in case with their said screenshot from the video game of Driver City Apocalypse. And even though I wanted to pick all, Carl and the Maestro said we had to pick two in under 15 minutes, and that was nearly impossible. Now, the reason why these two made it in for the screenshot of the week for this week, anytime you get a warhorse to pop out of a iron lance to take somebody out with, definitely is impressive. And for the second one, the reason why in the world we picked that one, a chance to customize your car from head to toe, is definitely going to be game changing once you get behind the seat of that. And according to Carl and the Maestro, it might be out of this world too. Oh, it should be out of this world. Really should. And speaking of things that are out of this world, folks, I think it's time for us to open up that fifth dimension door of games while adjusting the tie to our Rod Sterling suits to take a Mayday trip straight to the Indy Zone. And look, Carl and the Maestro, right next to the top of the calendar, there's some indie games coming in. Let's go grab a couple. And the first game that we have up comes from the developers Black Banshee Studios with their set game of Guardian. And this game currently available for absolutely free. You can't be free, folks. You can't be free. Next game we have up after that comes from none other than Bunstack with their set game of Parquet Down the Burn Buttons. And Carl and the Maestro laughing over in the corner saying that it's Parquet Down the Bun Burrows. Okay, nice name for the game. And this game currently available for the low price of $11.99. But for those out there who wants to get the Bun Burrows supporter bundle, you can get it for as low as $17.97. Next game we have up after that, and Carl and the Maestro poking me in the shoulder to remind you fans at home that if you want to try it before you buy it, there's currently a demo available for the game that we were about to go past, which was Down the Bun Burrows, which Carl and the Maestro just wanted me to read the title again to see if I was going to screw it up. Ha ha, ha ha. Anywho, the next game that we have up comes from the developers Gore Station. Nice developer name, by the way, with their set game of Hellvivers. Oh, nice name for the game, too. And this game will be coming soon to a Steam machine near you, so make sure you add it to your wish list so you know when it's gonna come out. Next game after that comes from the developers Wooden Monkeys. Nice developer name, by the way, with their set game of Song of Farka. And this game currently available for the low price of $19.99. But for those who want the Technotopia Song of Farka bundle, then you can get it for as low as $20.68. Not bad. Next game we have up after that comes from the developers Kenjutinu Studios with their set game of Mad Chess. And this game will be releasing as of 2025, but until it releases, there's currently a demo for this game as we speak. So make sure you head on over there and give it a try. And the next game that we have up comes from the developers Brent Arnold with their set game of Final Profit, a shop RPG. And this game currently available for the low price of $14.99 and currently has a demo that you can try before you buy it. And as a matter of fact, according to Carl and the Maestro, this game was coming soon and it's now officially out. Not bad. Next game we have up after that comes from the developers Fuzz Force. Nice developer name, by the way, with their set game of Fuzz Force Spook Squad. And this game currently available for the low price of $14.99. And for those who wants to try it before you buy it, there's currently a demo for it right now as we speak. Next game after that comes from the developers Nidal Nim Games with their set game of Farsan Alcasa, the Knights of the Alcasa Mosaic. And hopefully we read that right, but either way you look at it, folks, this game currently on sale for the low price of $7.49. And for those out there who wants to try it before you buy it, there's currently a demo for it right now as we speak. Next game we have up after that comes from the developers Bling Game with their set game of Hack. And this game currently hacked in half for a sale of $8.99. But for those who wants to try it before you buy it, you can. There's currently a demo currently available for it. Next game we have up after that comes from the developers 502 Studios with their set game of 502's Arcade. And this game currently available for the low price of $9.99. Nice. Next game we have up after that comes from the developers, and Carl and the Maestro said, hold on but 1 second, because this game currently comes from the publishers OK Joy with their set game of, and apparently, Calvary Girls. Oh, nice. Now, Carl and the Maestro said to take a second because we had to translate the person who actually came up with the game, which comes from the developers Neutron Star Game Institute. Not bad. Not bad name for the developer team. And this game currently available for the low price of $7.45 and 49 cents according to Carl and the Maestro, but currently has a demo that you can try before you buy it. Next game we have up after that comes from the developers Hong Kong with their set game of Ninix Cosmic Warfare. And this game currently available for the low price of $19.99 and currently has a demo that you can try before you buy it. Next game after that comes from the developers Noisy Head Games with their set game of Beyond the Long Night, which for some strange reason sounds like a cool movie. More likely a horror movie too. But this game currently available for the low price of $17.99. Next game we have up after that comes from the developers Soda Den with their said game of Roots of Paka. And this game currently available for the low price of $24.99. Not bad, not bad. Next game we have up after that comes from the developers Hyper Squad Studios with their said game of Egression. And this game currently available for the low price of $19.99. And for those who wants to try it before you buy it, there's currently a demo for it. But as a bit of a heads up, make sure you have a headset of the VR variety for it, because that's the only way you can play it, according to Carl and Maestro and the developers. And the last but not least game we have up for this week comes from the developers Blue Tang Studios with their set game of Aquilento. And this game currently available for the low price of $12.99. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out any of these cool games that came through a fifth dimension door that we left open and with the lights on, then you can go ahead and head on over to the store.steampower page of one man only known as store.steampower.com and just click right on that DreamHack Beyond Indie Showcase button to check out a whole bunch of cool fifth dimensional games that are just out of this world. I guess with that said, I think it's time for us to head back to that music once again. And when we return, we'll be back with another back-breaking, spine-tingling edition of the Wild World of Stunts as Under the Radar rolls on right after this. So don't get lost in that madness just yet, folks, and stay tuned. Right, all you risk takers and backbreakers out there, welcome back to Under the Radar. And now it's time for us to find out which one of you crazy stunners is gonna break your ribs just like I almost broke my voice as we leap into a very special Mayday edition of the Wild World of Stunts. And the first stunt that we have up comes from none other than the Twitter page of Bite Parrot with their said stunt for the video game of Slope Crashers. And Carl and the Maestro told me why didn't I mention the name of the capybara, because I forgot. I really did forgot, and apparently it changes every week, and according to Carl and the Maestro, it's Derek the Capybara. See what I mean? But during this said stunt, Derek decided to call on the power of bees to not only pull off a 360 spin with the help of the bees, and would be able to pull off a rail grind 50-50 into another 360 spin, landing on the ground safely like what, Carl and the Maestro? Like a glove. Now, I don't know what's more incredible about this stunt. The fact that he was able to pull this off with the help of bees that he stole the honey from, or the fact that he's still wearing that wizard outfit that almost got him sent to space last week. And according to Carl and the Maestro, both. And they're getting it a 10 with a couple of bees circling over the numbers. You better let those things out of here before they sting you. But besides the threat of getting stung by bees, the next stunt that we have up comes from none other than Ricky the Raccoon from the video game of Slope Crashers, from the Twitter page of Bike Parrot, of course. Now, during this stunt, Ricky the Raccoon would prove that 7 years makes a world of difference with a side-by-side comparison of its cool stunts. Now, on the left side of the screen, we would see Ricky the Raccoon trying to hang 10 and surf high and pull off a 360 tail grab, and would try to pull off a mick twist double grab in the front, only for him to sink to the ocean floor below. Oh no! But 7 years later, he would decide to get a pair of skis and get real tricky with it by not only pulling off a 360 tail grab followed up by a very beautiful version of a gyroscope, only for him to use the balloons to land safely on the beach with no problems. Like what, Carl and the Maestro?
Like a glove.
Now, Doc, 7 years ago, how was he doing in the hospital? Apparently, according to the doctors, he suffered not only a broken nose, but somehow broke his wrist during that said stunt. But will recover beautifully with 3 perfect 10s, according to Carl and the Maestro, with balloons on them, showing how much he improved over the past 7 years. Not bad. And the next stunt that we have up to continue this Twitter takeover of the wild world of stunts comes from none other than Petey the Parrot from the video game of Slope Crashers from the Twitter page of Bike Parrot. Now, during this said crazier than all hell stunt, we prove that parrots can truly fly. Cause Pete here would decide to use the stars themselves, or the stars themselves, to hang 10 in the air with a beautiful 360 spin, only to make his way into the pool area to pull off a 360 grind, and then immediately take things directly into the said tubular world of tubes to land on the roof of it to zip his way down, all before the cameras can fade to black. Now, the fact that he was able to land a tail grab, a 360 grind, and zip into the said stratosphere of sorts definitely proves that he can fly. And according to Carl and the Maestro giving him 3 10s, yeah, he can. He can. Wait, where's the PR department? Apparently they're letting out the bees. But while they let out the bees and to continue the Twitter takeover of onomatopoeia variety, the next stunt we have up comes from none other than Bite Parrot with their said stunt for the video game of Slope Crashers. Now, we warn people around here about double dipping, triple dipping even, but dipping 4 times in the same sauce of the world of stunts sometimes will get you hurt. And it's proven here with Samuel the Snowman, looking cool on his cool guitar, zipping his way down a fall-like field into a village, pulling off a 360 tail grab, landing on his wheels like what, Carl and the Maestro, or on the fretboard like what?
Like a glove.
Only for him to somehow make his way back to open fields, try to go up a fountain and for the fountain to explode, causing him to turn into a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader and do 5 backflips directly into a sign for Slope Crashers, proving that yes, sometimes on the slopes you can crash. Now, Doc, how is this snowman doing right now? Apparently, according to the to the doctors over in the corner laughing, why in the world am I worried about the safety of a snowman? We do this every single time somebody gets hurt, whether it be human or snow. And the doctors over in the corner said he suffered a busted carrot, a broken stick-like twig, and that guitar is totally thrashed. Oh, you mean broken, right? Apparently, yes, completely broken. But besides the spirit of Frosty the Snowman, or Samuel the Snowman as he called himself, broken in half, the last but not least stunt that we have up for this week, wait a minute, according to Carl and the Maestro, we may have one more stunt on top of that. But before we get to it, this next one comes from, really? Once again from Bite Parrot with their said stunt for the video game of Slope Crashers. And I got a feeling for the first time ever, the majority of stunts are all coming from slope crashers, which is absolutely insane. And this stunt that they were able to provide for this week shows our friend Petey the Penguin here in a 7-year comparison of what they were able to do, showing the 2018 version of himself pulling off a cool barrel roll into a sandy-like field and just whisking off like nothing happened after pulling off a cool grind. Only 7 years later to show up on an Indiana Jones hat in a sand desert Egyptian-like field, pulling off a gyroscope like it's nothing, flapping its wings onward, and making its way to pull off a 360 tail grab for it to land on the sandy, I guess, maps of sorts. Like what, Carlin Maestro?
Like a glove.
Now, of course, Carla the Maestro and the PR department, returning back from their bee expedition they were on, decided to give this stunt a perfect 10. And at the same time would tell me they let the bees loose over on the side of the yard. Okay, as long as they're not bothering anybody. And the last but not least stunt that we have up for this week comes from the Twitter page of Crap Post 2049, and we had to censor ourselves for the title with their said stunt from the video game of Grand Theft Auto Online. Now, this stunt didn't have a name attached to it, but I got a feeling it would have to be called Holy Flip. And the reason why we say that, folks, is because someone would decide to go into the said downtown Los Santos, just a little bit adjacent to the Grand Sonora Desert, and would decide to go on that Dead Man Curve Bridge to use the Torador as it was intended. And how would it be intended? Well, if you ever watched Doug Funny and saw Smash Adams, I got a feeling he got inspiration from this. Because they would decide to fly directly off the road, transform the Torador with a stupid license plate, and the license plate did say stupid, as they would zip from out of the ocean, out of the said, more or less go in the ocean, out of the ocean, pull off a wicked moonsault, and immediately jump right back onto that bridge, beating traffic, beating gravity, and definitely beating the odds by landing on all four wheels like what, Carlin the Maestro?
Like a glove.
And this stunt, according to Carlin the Maestro as well as the PR department, is giving them a perfect 10 for this cool stunt. Nice. And if you guys and gals out there want to go ahead and check out any other crazy stunts of people getting themselves maimed for unnecessary fame, then you can go ahead and head on over to the socialclub.rockstargames page, only known as socialclub.rockstargames.com, and click ever so lightly on that video button to check out which one of these crazy stunners is gonna fly like an eagle, only to crash and burn after a stunt that'll most likely leave them in the burn unit. And why, according to Carlin the Maestro? Well, let's just say from a bad landing. Just saying. Just saying. And I guess with that said, folks, I think it's time for us to head back to that music once again. And when we return, we'll be back with another edition of the GTA Online Top 6 Tracks of the Month right after this. So don't switch that dial for the madness just yet, folks, and stay tuned. Right, all you graveyard shift racers and listeners to the madness out there tonight, welcome back to Under the Radar. Now, before we go into this month's business, we have to handle last month's business, which, according to Carlin the Maestro, also includes this month's business. Which, for you listeners to the madness and graveyard shift racers out there, we have to tell you at home that within the next 3 weeks, we will be flying the coop and going on our vacation, which means we will mention as many tracks as we possibly can for this month of a vacation in the best ways we can to include it for the Indie Awards to find out who the track of the decade is truly gonna be. And with that big announcement out of the way and to make up for last month, I think it's time for us to get ready to rev our engines and find out who was the best of the best for the foolhardy month of fools as we go into a very special we couldn't get rid of one track to name it after its true name to fame, but it is now critically acclaimed with the additives, only known as the GTA Online Top 6 Tracks of the Month. And the first track that we have up comes from the creator Williams with their said track of Chaos at the Airport. Now, the reason why in the world this track got picked for the track of the month for this month, not only because of the litany list of cars you can race in during this said track, but also because of the absolute insanity that can happen for this track right above the airport. Now, the only tip of advice I have for you race fans out there, no matter which car you pick, make sure you don't end up having the speed wobbles during this said track. Because if you do, let's just say it's gonna cause a lot of chaos, 1. And 2, it just might knock you down to the airport itself. Because if you end up spinning around at those speeds, you might as well be a Beyblade because you're gonna let it rip right off the track. So make sure you maintain control and pick the best vehicle for the job, and hopefully you get that pole position. Hopefully. Next track that we have up that made it to this elite list for this month comes from the creator Ambrosio5. Nice name, by the way, with their said track of the A5 Face-to-Face Jump 2. Now, the reason why in the world this track made it in for the tracks of the month for last month, not only because of the litany list of cars that you can pick with the exception of vans and weaponized vehicles you know and love so much, but due to the sheer chaos of how many vehicles you can transform to during this race that'll most likely matchbox midair crash within each other or into each other during this said race. Now, the only tip of advice I have for you race fans out there, especially with these point-to-point races and these races with transformations in them, make sure you pick the best starting vehicle for the job for this. Because the last thing you need to be, especially in this race with cars flying at you head on, the last thing you need to be is in last place or at least third place during this race, because if you get in a mid-air collision with any of the racers during this race, it will definitely cost you during it. And for those in first place, watch out for oncoming flying traffic, because it can happen and will happen during this said race. And the next track that we have up comes from the creator Vax4223 with their said track of the Sky Canal car racing. Now, the reason why in the world this track made it in for the track of the month for last month is not only because of the litany list of vehicles you get a chance to pick with the exception of vans and weaponized vehicles you know and love so much, but this would be possibly one of the first full tubular races that doesn't involve a giant oversized oval and with a high possibility of you crashing into your opponent while you're in these set tubes. Now, the only tip of advice we have for you race fans out there, and something we forgot to mention in the first place, is please make sure when you go to any of the parts that have crosstown traffic or a plus type light that you're going to be racing into, make sure you know which way's up. Because if you don't, let's just say, depending on which direction your opponent's going to be racing in, you may get hit with a side by side, top side, bottom side, or possible mid-air T-mode that will take you out during this race. And I guess that's the only bit of advice I have for you fans out there. And for those in the lead, watch out for crosstown traffic, because it will cost you that lead. And the next track that we have up comes from the creators Speedane with their said track of 5150 Seaweed 500. And the reason why in the world we decided to pick this track, because not only you get a chance to use all cars across the board, with the exception of those weaponized vehicles you know and love so much, but also because of the unique factor that it's a track sitting right in the middle of a swimming pool of sorts that will most likely bog down your vehicle depending on which one you decide to pick. Now, the only tip of advice I have for you friends out there who wants to pick a car that's low to the earth, make sure you be careful on those inside turns, because if you don't, there's a high possibility of you getting your vehicle caught in the ocean and having a high tide moment during a race with seaweed in it. And the next track to make it in for this month comes from none other than Daniel234 Sporter with their said track of the Rainbow Rush. And the reason why in the world this track made it in for the track of the month for this month, or last month for the month of Fools, is not only because of the cool colors that's featured during it, but also because of all of the cars that are available during this set race as well too, which really helps. Now, the only tip of advice we have for you race fans out there for this said track is to make sure you pick the right car for the job, 1. And 2, don't get mesmerized by the colors like I did, because if you do, it will cost you during this set race. And Colin the Maestro over the weekend said that this track is some form of crazy version of, what was it again? Rainbow Road, only in Los Santos? Good way to describe it. And with the same amount of danger for it as well, too. And the last but certainly not least track to wrap things up for the month of Fools for last month, and to make it in for the tracks of the month for, I guess, the month of Fools, comes from the creator Exhale 420 with their said track of the Random All Raining Hondas. Now, the only reason why in the world this track made it in for the track of the month for this month, not only because of the list of vehicles you get a chance to pick for it, but also because of the sheer insanity that can happen during this race as well too. Especially with the fact that you're going to be jumping several feet into the air and most likely crashing into your opponent during it. Now, the only tip of advice I have for you race fans out there for this set track is 3 things. 1, watch out for flying cars. 2, be careful during those set ramp jumps, because cars can hit you from 3 different angles and you'll end up in a T-bone sandwich during that said race. And 3, make sure you pick a car that can actually handle those set jumps, because let's just say if your car falls short of the jump, there's a high possibility that a car will land right on top of you and you'll have a dog pile on the rabbit situation with this said race. Just as a heads up. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out any other crazy tracks we decided to include in playlist form along with these tracks that made it in for the track of the month of Fools, then you can go ahead and head on over to the socialclub.rockstargames page, only known as socialclub.rockstargames.com, and look up the playlist entitled Full King Jump to check it out for yourselves. And with that said, folks, wraps it up for a very special May Day pre-month edition of the GTA Online Top 6 Tracks of the Month. And I guess with that said, we might as well head back to that music once again, and when we return, we'll be back with a very special out-of-nowhere edition of the GTA Online Top 5 Tracks of the Week right after this. So don't touch that dial away from the madness just yet, folks, and stay tuned.
Poco. Let's go. Poco. Let's go. Poco. Let's go.
Right, all you graveyard shift racers out there tonight, welcome back to Under the Radar. And this week's Stunts of the Week goes to none other than P the Penguin from the video game of Slope Crashers, and also goes to Crap Post 2049 with their said stunt of using the Torador the way Rockstar intended. Now, the reason why in the world these two stunts got the stunt of the week for this week, well, for the first one, anybody who can keep a hat on their head while pulling off a perfectly skilled gyroscope definitely deserved to be mentioned during this part of the show. And Carl and the Maestro said we can only pick one from the Twitter takeover of Slope Crashers for this week's Wild World of Stunts. And the reason why in the world we picked the second, well, anybody who can leap off the side of a dead man's curve directly into the ocean to give themselves a car wash, power wash style, and flip their way back onto a bridge with all four tires still landing like a glove, definitely deserves to be mentioned during this part of the show for their absolutely amazing stunts. But besides amazing stunts, folks, I think it's time for us to get ready to rev our engines and check out some cool, amazing tracks to kick off this Maycation ride. And to kick off a Mayday like no other, with a couple of tracks from the world of Rockstar for a very special Mayday edition of the GTA Online Top 5 Tracks of the Week. And the first track that we have up comes from the creator Yorkstar LS1. Nice name, by the way, with their said track of the GTO GP. And the reason why in the world we decided to pick this track, folks, well, first off, the fact that this track comes with multiple levels, and no, Carl and the Maestro, not different levels of the track. Well, technically, yeah, different levels of the track. It's hard to describe, folks. This track comes in 3 different levels to it, which is absolutely incredible. That's 1. And 2, the fact that you can race your sports cars on it is definitely a plus. But the only tip of advice we have for you race fans out there for this said track is 3 things. 1, make sure you pick a car with good handling, because there's some hairpin turns to be reckoned with during this said track, including checkpoint 6, checkpoint 12, checkpoint 13, checkpoint 1, and even checkpoint 17, just to name a few. And secondly, I guess have fun. It's the only advice we could possibly give for this track. So, have fun. And the next track that we have up, speaking of having fun, comes from the creator Mapache Loco HC. Nice name, by the way, with their said track of the ML8 Mega Random 2. And the reason why in the world we decided to pick this crazier than all hell track, well, not only because of the fact that you get a chance to start with every vehicle across the board with the exception of those weaponized vehicles you know and love so much, but also because of the fact that you're racing down a giant oversized slip and slide, transforming into different vehicles that I got a feeling is more than meets the eye. Now, the only tip of advice I have for you race fans out there is to maintain control. Also, momentum will help too, but definitely staying in control of your car as you make your way down that giant slide will definitely pay dividends while you're trying to race on it. And trust me, depending on what vehicle you transform to during this race, control will definitely come in handy for you for it. And the next track that we have up comes from the creator Sammy QOD with their said track of R. All Van Dam. Or according to Carl and the Maestro, all damn van that he was able to make for this track. But either way you look at it, absolutely excellent name, and one of the reasons why in the world we decided to pick it. Also because of the fact that this race technically evolves into a land, air, and sea race that you get a chance to be a part of. Now, the only tip of advice I have for you race fans out there, especially when making your way up that said dam, is to make sure you pick a car with great handling and that doesn't get bogged down in extreme situations, because trust me, during this race, you're going to be facing them. Especially with a hairpin turn on checkpoint 7, checkpoint 9, and especially on checkpoint 22 that will cost you this race at a moment's notice. So make sure you pick the right car for the job, and hopefully you can go home with that checkered flag for this set race. Now, we said hopefully. We said hopefully. And the next track that we have up comes from the creator Strid 811, and hopefully we said that name right, with their said track of Candyland. Now, the reason why in the world we decided to pick this track outside of nostalgia from that classic board game as a kid would also have to be because of the cool wall rides and other fun things you can run into during this said race. Now, the only tip of advice we have for you race fans out there for this said race is make sure you pick the right car for the job. Even though you get a chance to use sports classics, compacts, coupes, muscles, off-road sedans, sports supers, and even SUVs, seriously, make sure you pick the right car for the job. Because if you don't, let's just say that wall ride might be a living nightmare for you to race on and might cost you during this said race. Just as a heads up. Just as a heads up. And the last but not least track that we have up for this week to kick off this vacation comes from the creator, Mr. Rickster66. Long time no see, man, with their said track of Are You Fast Enough 2? And the reason why in the world we decided to pick this track, folks, not only because it gives you an option of regular cars and even motorcycles to race in for this set track, but also because of the high, fast-paced, high-octane action you can and will run into during this said race. Now, the only tip of advice we have for you race fans out there is to make sure you pick a car that can handle the need for speed you're going to experience during this said race. And the reason why I said there's going to be a need for speed because there's certain boost pads during this race, and if you pick a motorcycle, for example, and you turn too late, let's just say you'll turn into a gymnast and fall several feet below the city itself. So make sure you choose your car wisely. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out any other cool tracks that are still lurking throughout the Rockstar universe as we speak that we included in playlist form for this week, then you can go ahead and head on over to the socialclub.rockstargames page, only known as socialclub.rockstargames.com, and just look up the playlist we made entitled May Race. And apparently, according to Carl and the Maestro, we couldn't fit Mayday Race on there, but wait, they fixed it. The Mayday Race. Look up that playlist and try out all those cool tracks with your friends for yourselves. And I guess with that said, folks, wraps it up for a very special Mayday edition of the GTA Online Top 5 Tracks of the Week. And I guess with that said, I think it's time for us to head back to that music one more time. And when we return, we'll be back with the final segment for Under the Radar for this week, right after this. So don't touch that dial away from the madness just yet, folks, and stay tuned.
大使とむしろということです。
Well, all you listeners of the madness, seeing the fact that the infomercials are starting to flicker on and off your television sets and we've got to get out of here before that truly happens, we might as well bring control of the television sets back to you, the listeners of the madness at home, as we bring Under the Radar for this week. Tune in that it close. But don't worry, if you miss any of this madness we were able to give you for this week, we got you covered. Because you can catch this show again one more time, all the time, on our SoundCloud, Facebook, Live 365, and Tumblr pages still all named the same, only known as Music Village Radio under the hashtag Under the Radar 488. So technically this show hit 88 miles per hour of sorts on a Mayday. Yeah, and to quote Doc Brown, you might see some serious crap for it too. And if you guys want to figure out all the crazy and zany things we still got prepared for this vacation, like Doc Brown's status that we managed to hit for this show without realizing it, then you can go ahead and check it out on our YouTube, Discord, and Twitter pages, still all named the same, only known as COO Agent 0012. Before we head out for the night, we would like to thank, as always, you the listeners of the madness out there for listening in to a very special May Day month-starting madness edition of Under the Radar. If you guys and gals out there like what you heard, go out there and spread the word. You know what? Like that bat from the movie Anastasia. Yeah, you know the PR department knows where I'm going with this one, and apparently still has that plushie my sister had representing that film. Ah yes, and it would always tell me the best advice, like stress is a killer. And we would also like to thank you, the independent artists out there, for doing that musical goodness like you always do. And keep up the great work, guys, and here's hoping your music will be featured during a vacation that may happen in the future. And why? Because we believe in you guys. That's why. That's why. Plus, it'll help us relax. And speaking of people's music that helped us relax or at least bring in and or out the show itself, we would like to thank our musical guest for this week, none other than Tekno AXE, with their said songs of not only the EBS that brought us in for this Mayday edition of the show, but of course for the song you're listening to right now of the Underground Revolution that is currently playing us out for this week as we speak for this week's edition of Under the Radar. Like always, Tekno AXE, keep up the great work, and we can't wait to hear what you got coming out of tubes next. And finally, last but certainly not least, we would like to thank you, the independent gamers out there, for coming out with all those sweet, sweet video game hits, clips, tracks, and stunts we had a chance to mention during this week's show. Like always, guys, keep them coming, because you never know what show might be coming around the corner next. Hint, 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 hint. Oh, and to you crazy stunners, we managed to get you this special lei that will hopefully protect you for your next stunt. And according to Call of My Show, if it doesn't protect you, at least you got laid. Boo! Horrible joke, man. Horrible joke. And I guess with everybody thanked, you guys out there, how we go out. I'm DJ Smokey on behalf of Carl the Maestro, and for this Mayday for this year and for this kickoff of our vacation, saying Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. But most importantly, when there's smoke, there's fire. And always remember, don't you ever forget, no matter what time of the day this show may air, during whatever sort of show we happen to have a day later, to keep up with the May Day trends we've been doing for the past 3 years, to kick off your month of May with something other than merry sunshine and flowers, but a dose of madness that'll hopefully carry you over to the next month, the month after, and most likely to a winter social like no other. To keep flying low and stay under the radar. Good night, everybody.